Eric Perenit, the professor at the University of Philippines. How are you, sir?
Very good. Nice to be here.
Ah, so, sir, I have been reading about you. I have been doing research about you,
Uh-huh.
and I got to know that you have done a lots and lots of work in mapping and disaster risk analysis.
Yes.
That is also now helping in bridging technology with the physical world.
Mm-hmm.
But, sir, how has it changed the way government and researchers are understanding this relationship?
Well, for one, the availability of data has been like a key pivot point, I would say. It used to be before that disaster risk reduction and management has been based on fundamental knowledge of phenomenon, of, scientific events happening. But there's a recognition that we also need data and we lack data in order to fully capture and fully analyze what is happening and get it in near real time
Mhm.
so that we could also perform appropriate and timely action. So for purposes, say for example, for rescue, recovery, rehabilitation, we need the kinds of data that are appropriate for this period. So what this means, therefore, is that you need some data, very good data at some point in time so that you could make quick decisions, while you need very maybe fine data, but you can afford to actually wait for it so that you can make good plans for the future to avert any further disasters. So
Right.
that's been the main difference.
Uh-huh. Sir, this is modern technology, modern times.
Mm-hmm.
AI automation and predictive analysis are now evolving at a rate like never before. We all know that. But if we talk about studies, so our universities, I wanted to know how universities are trying to keep a pace with that demands of the industry.
Certainly, in universities that I know, including, of course, the University of the Philippines,
Mhm.
they've started to actually offer degree programs in data science and analytics, and then eventually venturing into offering graduate programs in artificial intelligence. So that's been like the transition that's been done to couple or to align with the thought we have earlier that data is becoming more essential
Mhm.
in governance, in finance, in making, in doing and making businesses. So it's coming in at the right time. And before, during my time as a researcher, data availability was an issue. Now, actually, data is
That is not the case anymore,
that
right?
is not the case anymore. It's more like trying to cope with the right methods, the right approaches, and the right decisions. So artificial intelligence is like also coming in at an era by itself,
Yeah.
that it also provides some kind of uh, tool to be able to handle that much volume and richness of data that we have also accumulated in the past. So yeah, universities are
Mm.
uh, coping and in fact thriving because of the new ways by which we can look at our, our environment in our future, because of the availability of data that's also coming in or streaming in from different platform sensors, whatever, satellites including.
Mm. Uh, Sir, frontier technologies. So they promise efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
But like, do we, the humans, sometimes underestimate the ethical dimensions of it, like behind the data-driven system?
Well, there had been some a great extent of philosophical discussion, no,
Haha.
on the influence, no,
Mhm.
or the influence of artificial intelligence, and even including the use of agentic AI in how we manage our affairs as humans, no, how influencing it could be, how enabling it could be, but at the same time, how meddling
Uh-huh.
it could be as well. And I think this is still a field where where we continue to learn.
Mhm.
But even then, while we continue to do research to better understand how we behave as humans, it should not stop us from already adopting some of these processes, some of these methods, some of these tools in order to support us, in order to guide us, in order to assist us in what we do. So what I'm saying is that there should be some uh, process sandboxes that we could employ in order for us to test
Mm-hmm.
some of these tools before they could actually be deployed outside. And that is, I think, the role of research and development. It is also trying to not only come up with tools, but also try to test them before they could be deployed on a massive scale, so that we will be able to somehow have a calculated way of assessing whatever benefits or even threats that they have.
Sir, one last question.
Mhm.
So this is, as you said yourself, this is the time when algorithms and everything is getting more automated in recent times.
Mhm.
But as per you, how important is it still to keep the human judgment at the center of every decision?
Yes. I was reflecting on these things with the role of agentic AI.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there are many applications, including, for example, gaming.
Yeah.
And there was a discussion earlier about who now mimics which behavior. Is it like the agentic AIs are actually mimicking human behavior? Or do we see a future where humans will actually try to absorb or adapt what works in the virtual world by through their agentic AI as a means to cope in the future? So what I see is this: it's more like us humans uh, documenting as much as we can the values and virtues that we have,
Mm-hmm.
in order to reflect those values and virtues on the AI and AI agents that we develop.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, whatever we entrust
Yeah.
to AI and to agentic AIs, it will capture the way we behave, we cope, and understand as humans. So it will not be as different to the very values that we espouse.
Yeah. Thank you for all these views, Mr. Dr. Paranith. Sorry, Professor Paranith. And as a student, it felt like a lecture to me, but I loved it. I loved it the most. And I hope to hear more in the future from you.
Yes, thank you very much, Inchwa,
Thank
for
you.
this interview.
This is, yeah, this
Very good
probably interview.
opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.